So let's go through this. I think, did we do this first one for homework?
Yes.
Yes? No? Okay, we'll go over it.
Wait, what?
Your best bet is to graph this, sketch it. Because once you sketch it and you see where your vertices are, this is your transversal axis. If it's along the y, then you know your y is coming first. And a squared always goes under the first one. Now, once you set this up and you find your distance, find your center. Find the halfway mark between your vertices. Do the same with your foci. You could find the halfway mark between your foci also. You're at the 0, 0. So F comes this part and this part. Now A, you get from the distance from your center to your vertex. And so therefore A is 2. C is from your center to your foci. Therefore C is 4. And we've got this nifty little formula. Actually, I set it up different, but it's a squared plus b squared. I just set it so that I solved for b. I moved a to this side. It's the same formula, but I just moved a to the other side. And you find b. And actually, you don't need b. You just need b squared. So b squared is equal to 12. That's the only thing you need to put in here, is the 12. And a is your 2 squared. So there's your equation. Is everybody good with this? B is actually the distance to your supposed covertice. But we don't really have a covertice because your hyperbola doesn't touch any other axis, but it's transversal. But B is to where we go here, so we could make your rectangle. B is we need that to make your rectangle. But we technically don't call it a covertice because it doesn't touch your hyperbola. Right? Now, in dealing with your asymptotes, Kyle, with me here?
Yeah.
Okay. Set up your vertices. You can tell your transversal is your x. Therefore, the x1 has to be the first term. Again, your center is at 0, 0. So you're here right now. Start like this. The distance from the center to the vertex is 1. 1 squared is 1. Okay, now, your b, we have to find your b. And they didn't give you a foci, they didn't give you anything else for this. Alright, so now, they did, God bless you, they did give you, God bless you, your asymptote. Now watch. Good? You done holding hands? Yeah? Okay. Now, I'm going to graph this line. Okay. What's the intercept? What's the y-intercept for y equals 5x? What is across the y-axis? 0. What's the slope? 5 over 1. So watch. Here I am at the 0. I move up 5. I move over 1. Look where I am. Can I make a rectangle out of this? Oh, yeah. So this guy right here is 5, and this one right here is 1. Here's my asymptote. Y equals 5x. Y equals negative 5x. So what's the distance from my center to my covertice, so to speak? 5. What's 5 squared? 25. That's one way to do it. You can absolutely sketch this thing. And wait till you can make your rectangle. It's got to line up to your point for your vertice so that you can make your rectangle. Another way is this. Your slope is equal to your square root of your y denominator over the square root of your x denominator. What letter is under your x? A squared. What's under this? B squared. So A is 1. What's B? Okay, so watch. This y denominator would be the same as your b. This x denominator would be the same as your a. It changes based on who comes first. So 5 is equal to b, which I don't know, over 1. Cross multiply this. And b is 5. That's how to do it algebraically. But just a word of caution. Set this up first. If your y comes first, then your y is your a, and your slope will be a over b. If your x comes first, then your slope is going to be b over a. So before you do this, make sure you take a look at what order this is coming in. Okay? Now, I find sometimes graphing those are easier. I can spot them easier. Okay? So let's take a look at your next one and see if any of this makes sense. Here's your foci at 0,8. Therefore, this is your major axis. And here's your center again, so we left out. Okay, what does your foci tell you? The distance to what? Away from the vertices. So it's, what letter is that? C. C. So therefore we know C is 8. This one was a little bit more difficult. If you didn't get this one, I'm really not concerned, because this one was very difficult. Now, your slope, if you wanted to work your slope first, if you do it here, it's so much easier, because watch. You're going to go from here, you're going to go up 4, that's halfway through, over 1. You're going to do it again. You're going to go up 4 and over again. So this is where your line's coming. But remember, your vertex is somewhere in here. It's not by your foci. So do you see that it's not a nice number? It's not going to be a nice number. It'll line up with your vertex, but it won't line up with your focus. So we look at it this way. We say 4 is the slope, and my slope is my y denominator square root over my x denominator square root. What letter is under the y? A. What letter is under the x? B. So far I have this. 4 is equal to A over B. I don't know either one of them. So when I cross multiply, I get this. Right? Everything's in terms of a letter. I do know C squared equals A squared plus B squared. And I do know C. And C is what value? 8. It's the distance from my center to my foci. 8 squared. Now, I can't solve this problem with an A and a B. So I look right up here. And I notice I can substitute in. A is also equal to 4B. So if I take A out and I put in 4B and I square it, I can solve this equation. This was difficult. This was a thinker. And I didn't realize that it was there, that I didn't take it out. I saw the foci and I saw a nice plus or minus 4, so I guess I assumed it was like the last one. I should have looked at the answer key. So this is giving you 16b squared, but you can do this. Then we're getting 17b squared. The problem is that nothing worked out nicely. 64 over 17. When I take the square root of that, this is 8 over radical 17. That's what's equal to b. Then you got to multiply it by 4 to get what a is. Are we there? Aaron. So how do I get a, Aaron?
You're going to divide 4.
No. You're going to take b and you're going to multiply it by 4. So a is going to give you 32 over 17. You go back to that little formula that you set up. It is confusing to look at, but the process is really not. If you can get this part right here, you can figure out the rest of this. It just didn't look pretty. So as long as you were kind of on the right track, I'm okay with that. If you left it with fractions in it, I'm okay with that too. I'm not too concerned if you didn't catch this one. Okay, here's a nice one. Anybody have problems with this one? Your vertices put you on an X transversal. That means the X comes first. Now, your center is not at 0, 0. Your vertices say take the average of 2 plus 6 is 8, divided in half. There's your 4. Your center is at 4, 0. So set this up with your center in here. This is the A, this is the B. So if this is at 4, and this guy's at 6, we're a difference of 2. 2 squared is 4. God bless you. Your full size, go from here, God bless you, to the 0. That means your C is 4. Use your formula, and again, all you needed was your B squared. You didn't have to take the square root. I did, but you didn't. You don't have to do it to make the equation. Can everybody do this? The last part of it? Okay, I'll come back to that at the end. Is that okay? Because I'm not as concerned about that one because it was a very difficult one. Okay. All right. This guy, your vertices are 4, 1, 4, 9. You have a Y transversal. Y comes first. Figure out your 1 plus 9, 10 divided by 2, 5. Figure out your center. Again, it seems to be happening that you're getting your A and your C, because they give you your focus, and you have to use your formula for B. And all you need is B squared. You just need B squared. You can stop at the B squared. And once you find the equation, make sure it makes sense to you. Make sure it makes sense. Questions? Okay, here's a passes through point. This one's always a little bit more difficult also. When it passes through something, that means you're going to have to substitute your x and your y in for that point so that you can find either A or B, whichever one you were looking for. So first thing is set up your vertices. So you know it's a y transversal. Find your center. Your center between -3 and +3 is at 2, 0. So you know it's y, so plug this in, and you should be here right now. This is as far as we get right now. Okay? You know the distance of A, right? From your center to your vertex point. So therefore, would be 3. So I'm able to take this out, put in 3 squared, 9. Now, I can't find B. They didn't give me anything to find B. Usually they don't, because we technically don't have a covertex. Usually you find C, but they didn't even give me C. They said this passes through 0, 5. So I still need to find B. So I substitute in here my x and my y. So this is 5 squared over 9 minus 0 minus 2 squared over b squared equals 1. So let's work this through. 25 over 9 minus, God bless you, 2 squared is 4 over b squared equals 1. Now, I want to get rid of my fraction. What's my common denominator? What factors do you need? You need a 9. What else do you need? B squared. So multiply every term by 9b squared. So out comes the 9. We get a 25b squared. Out comes the b squared. We get a 36. And 1 times this, I get a 9b squared. It's not factoring, because you only have b squares, no b's. Get the b squares to one side. Subtract 25b squared. So negative 36 is equal to negative 16b squared. Divide by negative 16. So you get 36 over 16 equals b squared. Take the square root. How nice is that? What's the square root of 36? 6. What's the square root of 16? 4. I think I made a mistake. Yeah, that should be a 6. It should be a 6 over 4. That should be a 6 over 4. Should equal b. Okay. So that should be 6 over 4. Now, that's equal to b. Now take your b, and it's okay that I made that mistake because it didn't affect this because you had to put the square in here anyway. So you're going to take your square, your b squared, which was this, and you're going to substitute it into here. Okay? Now, the only other thing, yeah, I said you can leave a fraction in here if you like. You can also reduce this fraction to lowest terms, and you can flip it over if that's what you want to do. This part actually I'm okay with, but just reduce this to lowest terms. If you divide by 4, you're going to get 9 over 4. Remember, if you multiply top and bottom by 4, that'll get rid of that denominator and put the 4 on top. But if you left the fraction in your denominator, just make sure it's reduced to lowest terms. Okay?
Are you going to have to draw like the rectangle for these?
No, because you only have to come up with the equation. The reason the reason they don't really give you the b, because there's nothing that they really call the b, because it's not really called the covertex. It just helps you draw your rectangle. So that's why they usually don't have anything to say. Here's your covertice. It's not really covertice. Okay? Questions on this one? It was a little bit more involved. Okay? Okay, here's another asymptote. Set this up so that you know where your transverse axis is. It's going to be your y, your x. So your x is going to come first. But one step at a time on this, guys. Okay, now find your center. Your center is the midpoint. Since it's 6, the 2's are the same. 6 plus 0 divided by 2 is 3. So you know A is 3. So this becomes 9. Now, they didn't give you anything else except for your asymptotes. So you're going to take your slope, and you're going to set your slope equal to the y denominator square root over the x denominator square root. Now, underneath the y is b. Underneath the x is a. And what is a? 3. So 2/3 is equal to b over 3. If the 3's are the same, what is b equal to? 2, right? So come back here and plug that in. 2 squared gives you 4. Okay? We have one transversal that went through the 0, 0, so that's a good one to use. Right? My biggest concern when you do this is just make sure you set up y denominator over x denominator. Figure out what letter it is, because that one changes. Question, Aaron?
Y minus 2.
How did I do the what? The y minus 2? Your vertex. Your center. We found here was your vertices. We have to find the midpoint. So we added these together. We added 6 and 0 together and divided it by 2. So we got your center at 3, 2. So we put x minus h, y minus k. Okay? Yes.
You were trying to figure out what B was. Where did you get that 3 from?
The 3 is your a. Underneath your x is your a. But we already found a.
Oh, okay.
So I want to take my square root of my a squared. So square root of a squared is a. And in this case, a was 3. You're going to have to know one of them. Unless it's going to look real messy like the other ones. Good? I think this was the last one, right? Okay, I'm